Hi, I'm Claire. I'm the CEO and founder of ChatPRD. I am super excited to be here. We have a couple folks from our team in ChatPRD, including Max, who looks after our customers. So make sure to say hello to Max. And then for the folks on the call, make sure to introduce yourself in the chat. Let us know who you are, what your role is, and exactly what you're excited about seeing today in our ChatPRD demo. In chat, one thing that I wanted to make sure we do, and thank you to everybody who filled this out as part of their registration, is get a sense of what integrations you want to see today. So that is probably one of the more interesting parts of ChatPRD, and everybody has something else they want to see. And I'm watching the poll, lots of docs. We want to see docs, which is great. Some vibe coding stuff, which we love. Okay, docs, a bunch of PMs on the call. So I will definitely show those. Let me know in chat. I'm super curious for folks to tell us what docs platforms they are using right now. We see a lot of Google Drive. We see a lot of Confluence, a little bit of Notion, and then Microsoft. Folks, we have not forgotten you, and we're working on our Microsoft platform integration. So if that's you, even though we can't demo it today, we'd love to hear from you about that. Okay, we are about 8 minutes in. We've got a good group on the call. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we are going to get into this demo. All right, everybody. So this is ChatPRD. We are the #1 platform for product managers and their teams to improve their product work. I like to say product teams because yes, we love all of you product managers out there. I was a head of product, but this is really built for product managers and the teams that they work with, including engineers, designers, product marketers, everyone, program managers, TPMs, everybody that wants to work on better products. And I built ChatPRD out of my own experience being a 3-time CPTO, leading large product engineering and design organizations, and really thinking about how AI could help both accelerate and make all of our lives better and easier, but also how we could use AI to improve the quality of our documentation. And so I really think about both efficiency and quality as key parts of the ChatPRD experience. And then one of the things I think about a lot, if you follow me on X or on LinkedIn or watch the podcast, is just how product management overall is going to change as AI becomes more and more part of how we do our work. And so I've been thinking a lot about the AI first product team. I see a question from Garrett about integrations, keeping PRDs in Markdown in your code base, all that kind of stuff. We think about that a lot, and you'll see a lot of that like sort of future of product management thinking in some of our features that you'll see a demo for today. And so, one of the #1 questions I get from people about ChatPRD is, why would I use ChatPRD if I have access to something like Claude or ChatGPT? And my honest answer is we really want to help you create better docs and better quality than what you could get out of the box, even tuning your own prompts and projects in these more general purpose tools. And so our measure of success for ChatPRD is how often we hear from users, your product is so much better than what I can get out of Claude or what I can get out of ChatGPT. I get better product thinking. It's easier to work with and it integrates better with my workflow. But honestly, just the thought and depth of the work in product management and product building is so much better than I can get myself. So that for me is my hope of the experience you will get from ChatPRD. Although there's lots of features, bells and whistles, we want you to get a great experience with when it comes to workflows. So what I'm going to show you today is sort of a couple key setup flows and important parts of the ChatPRD experience for you to get a sense of everything we can do here at ChatPRD, as well as how to set up ChatPRD to have a really great experience. So the first thing that you should know is there are 2 kind of flavors of ChatPRD in our plans. Individual plans, these are our basic and pro plans. These are for individual people working on individual things. So if you're a solo founder, if you're an agency owner, maybe you're a consultant, your team's not yet allowed to use ChatPRD. Not that I would say we get a lot of that. You're going to be in what's called your personal account, your personal workspace. This is only for you, you alone. There aren't any collaboration features. You can see this is my work email. So I am only on a trial for my personal account, or you can have a team account here. And so I'm going to show the features of the team account because it has everything in your personal account plus things in your teams and enterprise plans. But just so you know, there are kind of those two flavors. One is like your solo journey, and one is your multiplayer journey. Before we get into how to use ChatPRD, I want to show a couple places where we really differentiate and customize the experience of ChatPRD to your business, to your role, and to what you want to achieve with ChatPRD. And I think this is one of the things that really differentiates us from more general purpose solutions is we've thought a lot about context scoping and design of what context goes where, so that when you set up ChatPRD, it really does an excellent job for you. And if you're a new user to ChatPRD, you should be onboarded to this workflow, but if not, here's how you get started. So the first thing you're asked to do in ChatPRD is set up your profile. Your profile is some information about you, your company, your role. This is global context that is applied to every interaction that you have with ChatPRD. It's one of the most important things to do and fill out. So it's going to give us information about your name, your company, what your role is, and then this little like bio that you can fill out. And of course, with AI, you can just click generate and generate that with AI. So it's really easy to make this and edit this. I highly recommend people spend a little bit of time on this and then update it occasionally to make sure that we have the best information about you. ChatPRD can also be customized to your preferences. And so if you are non-US based, which is a little bit of why we did this early morning West Coast webinar, because we have a lot of friends in UK and Europe, you can use your language preferences, your industry focus. You can customize communication style and feedback style. I like ChatPRD to be very mean to me, so I go for the direct and strict feedback style. But this is just really important personal context that will customize your experience with ChatPRD. So this is one layer of customization and context, but the most popular layer of customization and context is our custom templates and our templates. So as you can probably guess, ChatPRD does create great PRDs, but we create a lot more than that. I really think about us as generating specs and business documents for great communication as part of the product development flow and lifecycle. And so we ship out of the box with a bunch of probably about a dozen best-in-class templates across the product development lifecycle. So these are, of course, the Clairvaux patented ChatPRD that every team that works with me has to use or gets to use, as well as templates across OKRs, go-to-market plans, product strategy, release plans, PR FAQs. If you are using sort of like the Amazon working backwards model, and then even some community templates from some of my friends in product leadership who have shared their best practices on documenting products. Now, these templates are really great because what they allow you to do is structure consistently your documents, not just in style and format, but in content. And so, one of the things that I see larger product teams struggle with often is every PM comes with their own idea of what a product requirements document is. Stakeholders don't really understand what they should expect from a product requirements document and how they might read them consistently. Often many parts that are really important, like security considerations or tracking requirements, are missed. And so these templates are a way to reinforce standards across your own work, but also across the business. So I like to say this is a feature that allows you to enforce minimum viable consistency across your org. So for any of the product leaders on the call, this is a really great feature. But as great as I think my templates are, and they're pretty good, I also know that everybody comes with their own idea of what makes a great doc or what they need. And especially if you're vibe coding or you're a founder, you may not need some of the more robust aspects of some of these templates to get what you need to get done with a windsurf I saw in the chat or other kind of like vibe coding tools. And so you may want to create your own custom template. And so for pro and up plans, we have the ability to add custom templates. These are really easy to create, again, via AI. And so you can import your template from PDF, paste your content, or build it manually. I'm going to show what it looks like to create one from PDF. So again, what you'll see is title, description, instructions. I'm going to talk about instructions in a minute, and then different sections for your template. So what are the title? How is the section supposed to be formatted? We give you a lot of formatting in here, Markdown, which is everybody's favorite kind of formatting instructions. The one thing I think people forget to do is add instructions, and instructions don't just have to be like this. Use this template to create documentation. It can actually be more specific about the content. So if you're in healthcare, for example, you can generate instructions that say, make sure to check this for data privacy, opt-in, HIPAA compliance, all this stuff. And so you can combine the structure of your template with the content checks of your templates and instructions and really get a high quality document. Leslie asked a question, and I'm going to actually show this question on screen so you all can see it. Is it possible to see the original PDF you gave to ChatPRD? I will do even better than that, which is on the ChatPRD site, we have resources. We have a template library. That template library is where I pulled that from. I'm just going to show an example of a product strategy template. We have these example templates here in our website, and it's really just like a description of each section. So it's not super fancy. It's not really complicated, but I just really copied and pasted this into a PDF, or I could copy and paste this text, and then that's what I use to generate the text. So there's a lot of these available on the ChatPRD website. Actually, almost all of these are already imported as PRD templates in the system, but you can also use this for inspiration on building your own templates. So Leslie, I hope that answers your question. And then the final piece, templates can be shared. So if you're on a team, templates can be shared across your organization. Again, thinking about this like minimum viable consistency. And so you really want to make sure that all your team can use templates. When we onboard teams to ChatPRD, we highly recommend they identify one person that can be responsible for template generation and sharing. So then everybody has that baseline of what they're generating. And then I'm going to show how most integrations work in the course of creating a PRD, but I just want to walk you through what we have available. And so we have a couple categories of integrations. And as we see in the poll, a lot of you are interested in the first category, which is documentation, import, export. So this is across Google Drive, Notion, and Confluence. We have actually very recently kind of secretly released search access across Google Drive that allows us to do some contextual search across your files to discover relevant context for PRDs. We are in a back and forth with Google on getting our OAuth app approved, which it definitely should be according to their terms, but we're stuck in, a little bit of an endless loop of bureaucracy. So if you get a scary warning trying to set that up, just know that we're aware of it and we're working directly with that team to get it adjusted. But if you're willing to test it out, it's a very, very cool feature. And then we have Notion and Confluence for exporting documents, and we're working on Notion and Confluence import, and then we're working on Microsoft ecosystem as well. A bunch of AI tools. I'm going to show these later. V0 and Gamma are ones that we're a little bit more deeply integrated with, but we have a variety of vibe coding tools and AI tools that we're really excited about. We have a Slack bot, Teams bot coming soon. I'm going to show our linear agent, and then I'm definitely going to show our MCP client, which I think is quite interesting. The last piece from a setup perspective that I want people to know about are projects. If you're familiar with ChatGPT, custom GPTs, or projects, or Claude projects, you're probably familiar with the concept here. These are contextualized spaces for you to work on specific initiatives inside ChatPRD with a set of instructions and files that are useful. So you can see some things that I'm working on, our Jira integration, pricing and packaging. I can then load this up with instructions. I can load it up with our existing pricing, and then I can have these really useful conversations and document generation with ChatPRD where every chat gets more intelligent with the knowledge of the project. These projects can be shared across teams or across teammates. And so if you want to share them with somebody on your team, that teammate can also access the context and information in ChatPRD projects. One thing I'll give as a kind of tip or trick is I think projects are pretty good to use on like initiative, project scope, or subject matter scope. So you can see my two are like Jira, which is an initiative, or pricing and packaging, which is like kind of like subject matter expertise. And so I don't like projects to get too big because too much context makes for bad experience, but I do like them well scoped. And we found that this is both a great context setting feature as well as a great organization feature for ChatPRD. So I'm happy to take questions about projects if you've used them or curious how they're different than other features. But really, let's make a document. That's what we want to get to. I've done a lot, 20 minutes of hyping up all the setup stuff. Let's actually get to creating a document. So ChatPRD, and I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see better. Standard chat window at the bottom. You can select what project you're working on. I want to talk a little bit about writing mode. This is a new feature we've released. ChatPRD is really built around the generation of specs and documents, but sometimes we know you just want to chit chat with ChatPRD either as, like doing interview prep or brainstorming. You don't really want it to create documents. So if you're not in the mood to create documents, turn document writing off. It will not have access to its document writing tools. If you want document writing on, turn it on, and then choose your model and choose what template you want to work in right now. So right now I'm working on the basic ChatPRD template. This model list is going to get much, much longer. I just think it's the best one for this use case. If you are not on a pro plan, then you do not get to select the model. We do some model testing behind the scenes and select the best model for you. But if you are on our pro or plus plans, you can select other models, 5.1 coming soon, 4.5, and Gemini 3. So that's on our list right now. We have some additional tools that we've been adding to ChatPRD. So the ability to create v0.app prototypes in line, that Google Drive search tool that I've talked about. And then we generally select our own model for the chat, mostly because when you select your own model, sorry guys, but when you select your own model, you pick bad ones and it doesn't do a good job. So we optimize a lot of the model selection on our side, so you don't have to really think about it. Now, there are a couple quick start options here. Help me write a document, brainstorm no features. The one that I use the most is help me write a document. It's just like what most of us do. It says, tell me what you're working on and then what template you want to use, which is the ChatPRD template. And then what I'm going to do, what do I want to do for help me write a document? I want to do Confluence document import. That works very similar to our file attach feature in our normal chat. So when you're attaching files right now, we can upload them from computer or add them from Google Drive. So if you have Confluence connected, I want you to be able to import Confluence documents into ChatPRD. So I'm going to start that document. Now, what I like about ChatPRD, or what I hope you like about ChatPRD, which is it's not just going to like one shot a document for you. What it's really going to do is ask a couple questions about like, what problem are we solving? Who are we solving it for? What's the ideal output? How might it work? And so this is really helpful because I did give like a pretty loosey-goosey prompt here. It's probably something that would have come out of like a brainstorming meeting or a customer call. And these questions are really helpful. And again, we have a lot of senior PMs on the call, but if you are a more junior product manager and you're like, I am really nervous about going into a meeting with my boss on this product idea that I'm working on, or you're not a product person and you want to like influence the roadmap, this is a really great way to make sure that you're up leveling the quality of your documents. And so, but I'm going to be a lazy PM just for the sake of this demo. And I'm going to say our users, they're importing Confluence docs to give more context to the chat about what they are working on. Main user is PMs. Only docs they have access to in Confluence. 3, no output. It should just be sent as markdown to the AI chats for additional context for the chat. So I answer these questions. And what it will do then is actually outline the document according to the template and then start streaming a full PRD for you here in the sidebar. So this is going to take all that information, make some decisions, and then fill out the ChatPRD template, for this document. And what I like to say is, this is going to get us to about 90% of what our PRD should be in about 5% of the time. And then what I want you to do is use ChatPRD and your brain to up-level this even more and make it even better. And so I just think even taking this idea, even if I had a good sense of what this idea was, writing the foundational piece to get the business objectives across, the user stories, the tracking, the technical considerations will just take a bunch of time. This document will probably take 30 to 60 minutes to put together, and we've probably done it in 3 to 4 minutes. And then what I can do is use that extra time to make this really great. And so once a document is generated, I can open it in our editor and I can start to edit it directly here in ChatPRD. And so if I have, edits I want to make, one thing that we see people use a lot is our AI editing tool, where we can simplify writing, make things a lot, you make your TLDR much more TLDR, read things. The chat is aware of the doc is aware of the chat. And so it's just a really nice side-by-side editing experience here. You can, as we kind of called out before, you can export these documents to your source of truth. So once it's ready to go into something like a Google Drive, a Notion, or a Confluence, we do a pretty export to that. If you're using any of the AI tools, you can copy it as Markdown. That makes people really happy. I'll show you how you can also access it via MCP. You can download it as a Word doc. And it's just a really nice flow. And then the other thing you can do is actually edit the doc via the chat. So you can edit in 2 ways. And I like people to pay attention to this. So when you want ChatPRD to write something, have it write or create a doc. That's the magic word for that. If you want it to change specific parts of the document, ask it to edit. So I'll say, can you edit the narrative to be just 1 paragraph? So I want this narrative section to be a lot shorter. This will call a tool to do very precise edits to your document. You'll see a before and after diff of the document here. So you can see I'm going to replace these 3 paragraphs with 1 paragraph. And so again, it's a very quick edit that happened here that's done on behalf of you in the chat. If you just hate the PRD and want to completely rewrite it, just say rewrite the document and it'll completely rewrite the document. And then the last thing that you can do is you can switch tools, and you can, for example, write a PR FAQ for this feature. And so I can say this PRD is great, but my boss also wants a PR FAQ. Can you help me write one? And it should use that template. It might have a couple questions for me, but you can want to say, do you want it targeted at internal or external audiences, or both? It should be focused on the PR part for customers, FAQ part for customers, and internal. And so I'm answering the questions. Again, you can bypass any of this by just saying as it says, just do it, or please write. And so it's going to write these things. Okay, I'm going to say, great, go ahead and create the doc. One of the artifacts of the GPT-5 model, which I'm in right now, is if ChatPRD ever tells you to wait overnight, do not listen. This is not a ChatPRD thing. This is a GPT-5 thing. It's really wants to do work overnight or next. That is not true. These agents have no sense of time or space. So just be no, write it now and it'll do it. We are trying to prompt our way out of it is just it's really lazy sometimes. So you can see now I have a PR FAQ for document import. It's given me fake quotes and all sort of stuff, and then external FAQs and internal FAQs. Again, just love this, super fast. And then once it's written, you will see that you will have multiple documents per chat up here on the top. So now you can switch between the PRD that we created and the PR FAQ. So again, this is a multi-doc aspect. So once we've created our docs, which we've done in just, less than 10 minutes, 2 documents, great for sharing with our team and getting feedback on, you can share these chats and documents with your colleagues. You can either share with your whole organization. My organization is called ChatPRD. That's why it says ChatPRD, or you can share with specific users. You can create a public link to your chat and documents. This will create like kind of one of those really long URLs that are hard to guess, but they are publicly available. So just know that. And then if you're shared a chat, you cannot continue the chat, but you can branch it and make a copy of it and then continue the chat. So just know there's sort of like a forking mechanism in chat. I'm going to answer Leslie's question really quickly. I work mainly in French and my customers want documents in French. You can talk with ChatPRD in French, so you can do that by setting your language settings. So I highly recommend that. And then it should talk to you in French. I think one of the questions is, does it generate the documents in French and English? And I'm pretty sure it generates in your default language, but you can also ask ChatPRD once you have a finalized English draft to translate in different languages. I've done that, a lot of that testing myself. So just change your language settings in your profile. And then Leslie, let us know if there's any optimizations you want us to make on the language, especially on the document generation side. So thank you for that question. Okay, so you can share the chat. Once you've created documents, you also unlock our little like open in tools. And so we are integrated with a bunch of different kind of like vibe coding tools, V0 Lovable Bolt, Magic Patterns, Replets behind a feature flag. I'm waiting on them. It's not us, it's them. Linear issue, Gamma isn't shown here just because I don't have the API token in here. Any of these open in flows are going to do something really interesting, which is they're going to generate a optimized prompt for this third-party vibe coding tool. So for V0, for example, it's going to generate this optimized prompt for building things in V0. And then when you click open in v0.app, hopefully I'm logged in, it'll pass over your files and that optimized prompt and start building the app or start prototyping. We have much more deep integration with V0, so there are lots of other ways you can use it. I can share those in the advanced users tool that we're doing, or the advanced users training we're doing on Friday. Some of them only allow us to set over a prompt. That, again, is not us, it's them. Are you able to optimize? I'm going to answer this question. This is a great question. Are you able to edit that optimized prompt for V0 or not yet? Not yet, but it is like literally being worked on right now. It's such a great idea, that field being able to be edited. So Caitlin, I will ping you as soon as that's live, but it should be live this week. We've just started to think about that. So some only let us sending over prompts. V0 lets us send over prompts and files, and then linear issue will just create a linear issue based on your work there. And our kind of whole hypothesis here is that garbage in, garbage out, high quality in, high quality out. And so the ability to put high quality requirements into these tools is really going to allow you to create better artifacts on the other end. Okay, so I saw a question about Windsurf and accessing these documents. So we all love this web UI. It is so lovely. We've put a lot of pink into it, but we also know that folks want to use ChatPRD in things like Cursor, Claude Code, Windsurf, Claude Desktop, etc. So we have an MCP server that we have created at ChatPRD. Actually, I'm going to go back to ChatPRD really quickly and show you how to set that up. So in integrations at the bottom, there is the MCP client where you can actually copy the config for setting up the MCP in any of these clients. They're authenticated via OAuth, so they have secure authentication into the ChatPRD system, and they will allow you to access the capabilities and data in ChatPRD via MCP. And so I want to show that what that looks like in Cursor just to give you some ideas, and then I will answer the question about other integrations. Okay, so this is my Cursor that I use every day, and I have the ChatPRD MCP configured for ChatPRD. And so what you can do is actually just ask, like, what PRDs do I have to work on, or can you pull me the PRD for the Jira integration, and ChatPRD will pull your available documents and projects out of ChatPRD. So it's a really nice flow for engineers that are taking handoff from ChatPRD. And so it's given me, I have some linear integrations, some homepage content integrations. Here's some other notable ones. I have a couple projects. I have 20 PRDs to work on. And then I can do things like ask it to pull down the markdown content into a specific drive file. So I saw a question about that where somebody was saying, well, how do I bring it into Markdown? This is exactly how you could do that, is you could say like, pull this into Markdown. You could ask Cursor, for example, to build a to-do list based on the PRD to start executing on. And you can also have ChatPRD just write PRDs for you from Claude Code, Cursor, Windsurf, Claude Desktop, with all the enforcement of the templates, the knowledge sharing, all that information directly in ChatPRD. And so I love the MCP. I'm like shocked at how popular this is. So I built it because I wanted it. And people really use this ChatPRD. We have some people who only use ChatPRD through something like Claude Code to write their PRDs, save them in their repo, and then execute on them. Caitlin has a question which I would love to answer. We've set up the MCP with Cursor, but I'm wondering, how do I configure it to only pull the PRDs that are allowed already? This is a really great question. And so, Caitlin, we don't have status of PRDs in our workflow yet, but it's something that I've been thinking about a lot. So I'd love to hear in the chat, or you can send us a note in our Slack community or anything about how you define if they're allowed already, because we don't have a really good sense of that. And then if you have some good ideas, we're really open to hearing how you might want to create the status of PRDs, but that's not a concept we have right now. And I'm guessing you want them only like when they're ready for a specific next step or something like that. And so, the one thing, you can't pull PRDs that you don't have access to. So if they're not shared yet, they can't be pulled by another user. So that may be one control that you can use, which is until it's shared with the engineering team, they can't actually pull it into Cursor. It won't be visible. But I'd love to hear your feedback about how we can make that feature better. And then I'm going to answer Eli's questions, which is, are there any integrations for Granola or in taking notes into the new PRD creation field? I wish. I use Granola and it does not have an open API right now. And so we are very happy to hassle the Granola team for an integration or webhook here, because I think it would be super useful. So not us, them, and would love to build that. We see a lot of people copying and pasting transcripts and notes in for PRD creation fields, and I would love to have more direct integration with something like Granola. So great question, Eli. Really love it. Let's just go ahead and do one more question. Is there a Jira product discovery integration? Not yet. Our Jira integration is a complicated one. Atlassian does not have the prettiest APIs yet for us. So the Jira integration that's coming first is the ability to export PRDs into epics and tasks into specific projects. We're doing some pretty intense code review on that one because it's a little complicated. And then JPD is something that gets asked for next. So if you have any specific feature requests on Jira Product Discovery integration, please let us know in the chat, in our Slack community, or any of the channels where you reach us, because we're looking for input on how we improve that integration. Speaking of Jira, we're going to talk about what I like to call dark mode Jira, which is linear. Which is what we use to manage our tasks, and our linear agent, which I know a couple of you were interested in hearing a little bit more about today. So we're going to show that off. And let's get this up. And so our linear agents integration means that in linear, which is sort of like an issue, task, project, product management platform, you can actually assign or delegate tasks to ChatPRD. Those tasks will then be able to be executed on by ChatPRD in terms of requirements, program management, and just answering general tasks. And so once you assign something to ChatPRD, it will say, hey, I know what this issue is, and I can ask it to do things like update the issue description. So I can write a very short title of an issue that's like linear agent, and it can go in, pull my PRDs from ChatPRD, search through them, actually update the tasks. The other thing that the ChatPRD linear agent can do is create sub-issues really effectively. So if you're ever asked to break down an issue or an epic, for example, into subtasks or sub-issues, the ChatPRD agent does that. And then I can do things like, I must have deleted this. This is an old one. You can do things like ask it to do product work for you, like writing copy and things like that. And so I found this really useful, not just to do some of the program management parts of ChatPRD, but actually do some of the product work or design work inside the tool that I'm using. The other thing that we do a lot is we do a lot of agent to agent delegation in Linear. So we'll have like ChatPRD do all the product work, and then we assign it to Devin, which is one of our agentic coding tools we use at ChatPRD to actually execute on the tool. And you can see that it's really good to have like good requirements into these agents, gets good outputs out. So we really love the Linear integration. If you're interested in Linear, we are doing a advanced user walkthrough on Friday. It's going to be a little bit more interactive, and we can go really deep on like how Linear works. In some ways we think that is effective, but I think it's a really cool tool. We use it all the time here at ChatPRD. I see another question, which is, can you elaborate about the Replit plans or roadmap? Yeah, so Replit, very similar integration we're looking for, where we can push a optimized prompt to Replit and files into Replit. They're like halfway done coding the integration, and it's feature flagged on our side, but it hasn't been released yet. If you could just hassle the Replit team, if you're a Replit user, that would help. I ping them about every week saying like, we have 3 or 4 customers that are just begging us for this integration. And then I would love to also just be an MCP that could be called by the Replit platform to do some of the product work in ChatPRD. So we have recently launched our docs site. This is where all of the documentation for all of these features lives here in ChatPRD. It's chatprd.ai/docs. You can learn about creating and using templates, writing documents, exporting documents, all of our integrations, including the Linear integration, how to collaborate with teams, how to use projects and saved knowledge. So if you're looking for more information in ChatPRD, how to do that, you can view these documents. And then, as I mentioned a couple times, we are doing more and more events. I'm about to update the calendar. We're going to take a break for the Thanksgiving week for us in the US. And then we'll be doing at least probably a weekly training like this, and then a couple advanced users or maybe even deep dives into specific demos of specific integrations. And then the last thing I would say is please join our ChatPRD Slack community. If you're a registered user, that is at app.chatprd.ai/Slack. And you can join our Slack community and be able to give us feedback, ask questions, hear more about the roadmap, meet more of our team, and keep apprised of all the recent stuff. So that is my whirlwind tour. I love that you all dialed in. It's really helpful to hear your questions, get your roadmap ideas. We like to build very fast, and we like to build with the feedback of our customers. So please do not hesitate to chat in. Our chat is at the bottom right of our application. You will get somebody on our team, leave feedback, give us questions, tell us when there are bugs, and we will fix them. And then the other thing is we would love feedback on this training. Again, this is like brand new for us. It is a little bit of the Claire show for an hour. And so we hope that it was useful. It sounds like it was helpful. You will definitely get a recording link emailed to you after this is done recording. And so you'll get a copy of this that you can share with your team. And then we're also just going to share these on YouTube. And so people can just watch them after the fact. And so if these were useful, definitely let us know. Please share ChatPRD with your friends. It sounds like no one has any questions. And so we will let you get back to your Wednesday and have a great day. Thanks, everybody. Bye.